Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more juicy content from me. Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel or my podcast or wherever you're watching or listening to this. My name is 𝑧𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒆𝒅. I like to reintroduce myself from time to time, and I help people defeat and prevent burnout, as well as create new careers, businesses, and vocations in 6 months or less. Now today I want to talk about something a little bit different as I go into the launch of my Rock Your Medical Career 5-day challenge. I want to talk about something that's a bit career related, and that is workplace bullying. I'm going to start with a little story, and I'm going to weave it into the points that I'm going to talk about. Some years back, I worked in this establishment, and this new medical director was appointed. Now, this gentleman was a bully, and even before he became a medical director, he was known for bullying behavior. Now, one fine day, he decided to turn his bullying behavior on me. Interesting, right? Like, you picked the wrong one, buddy. You picked the wrong one. So anyway, it was basically, not to go into too much detail, but there was what the person was asking me to do, which was outside of my scope of practice and knowledge. Yes, I'm a doctor, but I don't know everything and not about every specialty. Also, the way the bullying behavior was conducted. So there was two things. So it was sort of bullying on two fronts. One was trying to intimidate me into doing something that medically I shouldn't have done, really. And the second one was the behavior, and I've just described this briefly. The individual, I was sitting in my office, and I just heard boom. This individual had flung my door wide open until it hit the wall on the other side, and he charged into my office screaming, "Why didn't you see this patient?" That was number one. That was step one. At that point, I turned around. After the initial, shock of having my door almost torn off its hinges, making me flinch, and the person was standing, almost like standing over me, yelling, screaming. I leaned back in my chair and I said and I explained very calmly why it was not appropriate for me to have seen that patient. In fact, it was more appropriate for that individual more than me to have seen the patient. But really, it was the most appropriate advice that we gave to the patient was to go back and see the person who had last seen her, which would have been a continuity of care and the best thing for that patient. So, at which point, number one, if you're being bullied at work, stay professional and maintain a calm demeanor, even if you feel threatened and intimidated. One of my old mentors from residency actually used to say, "Don't let your enemies know when your butt is being kicked." And it's so true. Now, sometimes it's hard to do, right? And it takes practice. But maintain a calm demeanor, even if you feel threatened and intimidated, because the goal of a bully in the workplace is to make you feel intimidated. There was no need for anyone to burst into my office in the way that individual did and start screaming at the top of his lungs. The goal was to intimidate me They did not. Number 2, avoid engaging in verbal or physical confrontation as it may escalate the situation. The more riled up he acted, the more calm I acted. In fact, I even leaned back in my seat and I said, "What? No, that was not what should have happened." And we did the most appropriate thing. I left the thread hanging where actually you should have seen this patient because the patient is in your specialty and you would have been able to give the person the best advice. I didn't say that because I didn't want to engage in a verbal confrontation. I just said, well, you should have seen the patient and, we did the most appropriate thing. And I said it in a low voice, leaning back in my chair, not engaging in the confrontational behavior of this individual. So I did that and just leaned back in my chair, said what I had to say. And, the person started to go on, and I didn't change my demeanor, which brings me to number 3. Don't lose your grip on your personal power. Look, you have power. It's just that a lot of times we think we have no power, so we act like we have no power, and we end up joining bullies to disempower ourselves. I did not move from where I was sitting. I didn't stand up in a hurry and start saying, oh my goodness, what did I do? What's going on? And I didn't feed into their, I refused to be intimidated. I didn't feed into their confrontation. I sat back in my chair and kept on going, looking at the person and talking very casually. For me, in that moment, that was my own way of exerting dominance over the situation and not losing my personal power. The person wanted me flustered, intimidated. I wanted to intimidate me into a practice that I should not have engaged in, or something I didn't really know very well. I don't want to go into details. Don't lose your grip on your personal power. Whatever bullying that's going on in your workplace, or whatever bullying you're being subjected to, don't lose your grip on the whatever little personal power you have. Exert it in that situation. And that doesn't mean throwing your own weight around, screaming and all that. It may mean taking the calm demeanor, taking the high road, even though you might feel like running. It's like, well, okay, well, you say what you have to say. Yes, it usually takes a lot to do. That's number 3. So 1, I'm going to recap. 1, stay professional, maintain a calm demeanor. 2, avoid engaging in verbal or physical confrontation because that might escalate the situation. 3, don't lose your grip on your own personal power, as little as you feel it may be. Number 4, document. Document any incidents of bullying or harassment with the details, including date, time, location, and individuals involved, and witnesses who was there. With this individual, there was no one in the room at the time, but it was loud enough for people around to hear. So I wrote it down just in case. You may not need to use it, but you may need to use it. So just in case you can use it, instead of saying, oh, this person bullied me. Okay, then what? When? What happened? And then as time goes on, our memory can become fuzzy. But if there's a documentation, like if you have notes apps in things like iPhones, they keep a timestamp of the date. You can just put that in there real quick, or you can write it down, or even write an email and send it to your own personal email address, documenting these things. In that establishment, all the incidents that went on, the bullying incidents, the incidents that were shady, I documented everything. I send them to myself. I send them to a lawyer just in case something happened. Luckily, I left the establishment before I needed to use any of such things, but documentation is very important. So this incident, I documented it as well. Number 5, don't blame yourself or internalize a bully's behavior. At some point, you see, somebody used to say this to me, don't let people have too much real estate in your mind. I refused to give it a second thought. I actually, after the individual left my office. So the person screamed and ranted and raved, and I wouldn't budge. I didn't move to do what he wanted me to do. I just sat there. I didn't move an inch, and the person left. And then it's like, well, this guy has a problem. And you know what I did? I got him and I locked my door. Thereafter, every single time he wanted to just open my door and burst in, he had to knock. Again, don't lose your grip on your personal power. For me, guarding that space in my office was keeping my grip on my personal power. I locked my door, and every time he would come and just try the door to try to tell me something, he would have to knock, and I would say, "Who is that?" And then I would get up and open the door. So don't blame yourself for other people's behavior, okay? Everyone is responsible for their behavior. And in that vein, remember this: you can't out-nice a bully. Bullies are not made nicer because bullies don't stop being bullies because you're nice to them. They're not made nicer by your own nice, compliant behavior. No, in fact, if anything, it gives them more reason to bully you and continue to try to intimidate you. So you don't blame yourself for their behavior, because if you blame yourself for their behavior, then you start to think, oh, if I do something different, then they will stop bullying me. I'm going to be nice, right? I'm going to be nice. The best way to defeat a bully is by standing up to the bully and going through the proper channels to report bullying behavior with documented incidents. It's not about, oh, if I'm nice, they will stop bullying me. That rarely ever happens. Last but not the least, this is something many people actually don't do. Report to HR. Report to HR. Report to your bully's boss. Go up the chain of command as far as you can. A friend of mine was being bullied at the workplace in the form of not letting her advance her career, even though everything she was told to do was done. All her paperwork was complete. She kept going up until she reached the company's CEO. And this is the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the US. So this is not a kind of CEO, it was not the CEO in the office. She kept going up until it reached the CEO, and the CEO stepped in, and it was all taken care of. Remember, don't lose your grip on your personal power. You have something. This company, if they did not need you, they would not hire you. Companies are not charities. So as much as you may think you're grateful to have a job, guess what? You deserve to be there. So whether it's a corporate company, whether it's a medical establishment, hospital, school, government, whatever, keep going up the chain of command until you get a resolution. And of course, be prepared to vote with your feet and leave if you don't. There's nothing wrong with leaving a workplace for greener pastures if you're being bullied. So I'm going to recap. But before I do that, the end of this story was that this gentleman quickly realized that I wasn't going to do his bidding just because he screamed and shouted. And even though I was fresh out of residency, yes, I am a doctor. I have my own medical license. And I'm not going to allow you to make me soil my medical license by engaging in practices that are outside of my scope of practice. So I'm not going to say the bullying incident stopped. Eventually I did leave, but I refused to allow this individual to bully me. Stay professional. Avoid engaging in verbal or physical confrontation. Do not lose your grip on your personal power. Document incidents of bullying. Don't blame yourself for the bully's behavior, and report bullying behavior to the HR or up the chain of command. So, thank you very much for watching and listening. If you click in the description or the show notes below, you will find a link to my Facebook group called Physician Heal Yourself, in which I will be running a challenge this week. Rock Your Medical Career Challenge. If you are a doctor, MD, DO, MBBS, MBChB, join the group. For the next 5 days, I'll be sharing nuggets over the course of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from the 20th to the 24th of March. I will be running this challenge inside of this Facebook group. And if you're a doctor, come along, bring your doctor friends, and let's have a wonderful time. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you next time.